Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
Okay. Hey, everybody.
Let's start that all over again.
Let's start it all over again. My name is John DePietro. His name is Bob Zagami. This is RVing in New England. And for the first time in several months, Mr. Zagami is back in the great state of Maine after a 4-day trip.
5 days, actually. We left on Saturday and took our time. And as one would understand, we left Florida paying $4.20 a gallon for gas, and we wound up paying $4.80 in Massachusetts today. So it's something that we're going to talk about tonight.
We'll talk about it, but again, I can't get into too much detail on it, but I'm just going to keep using the term "do it now."
Right.
And do it now. Don't worry, folks. Who knows what tomorrow brings? But before we get into that, I want to tell you a couple things that we've had the capability to get involved with in the last week, which are so much fun. And one of them is last Friday night, I packed 2 grandsons into the RV and we headed for Stafford Motor Speedway. We were able to arrange some tickets through our friend Tom Emerson at Longview RV, and he hooked us up with the PR people there. And we had a great time. So much of a great time that we have to have. There's normally they race on Friday nights down there, which is not the night that we're on the air, but they've got a couple Wednesday shows this summer that I got to get the specific dates on. That, Bob, we need to do a live show with cars in the background and us competing
right from the track.
From the track.
I'm going to try to work it out. We can do an on-site interview with Michael Bennett, who Longview RV sponsors, over the track. Right. And like I said, they were nice enough to get you tickets. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, tell me something. Before we jump, we forgot our sponsor, but tell me before we jump.
Oh, I forgot.
One of the reasons, right?
Go back to the Go back.
No. I'll get to it. Don't worry. Kenny won't be mad. Amanda will forgive you. But one of the reasons we wanted to do the open mic tonight is we've had such great shows the last couple of months that we haven't got to all the comments from the fans. And we feel bad about that because you are the base of the success of the show. So tonight is your night. You can say whatever you want. You can call us names. You can talk about any subject that you want. But before you do that, we should probably pay the bills.
This show is sponsored by Seacoast RVs on Route 1 in Saco, Maine. And they have park models. They have Winnebago drivables. Shouldn't say drivables, Winnebago motorized. And they have one of the nicest camp stores of anywhere that I've seen in the entire Northeast, let alone just New England. And they have propane. And they also do repairs. So if you are, even if you have a diesel unit, right, Bob? Talk about that. Kenny has brought some people in that
diesel truck mechanics that can work on any aspect of large. If you've got a 45-foot diesel pusher motorhome, take it to Seacoast RVs. These guys can work on any kind of a diesel, or if you got a 24-foot Winnebago View, take that to Seacoast RVs. And you don't have to be a customer right now. If they're a new dealership the last couple of years, they purchased the dealership from Linda and Mike Mailhunt. If you have if you're not satisfied with the service that you're getting right now, give them a try, and you're going to become a customer for life. You're going to like the way they do business. As they say, they're creating family fun on Route 1. And some of that fun, I just put together a couple of their recent posts, but they like to call them another happy camper at Seacoast RV. So you could get yourself in the picture. You could be holding that sign, and you could be buying a new Winnebago motorhome, a new park model from Krupp or Elevation. The Elevation models go as quickly as they get them in, so you should call up on those. Or, as you see in the top right, they also have consignments and pre-owned, and they're very selective about the pre-owned units that they bring onto the lot. So we are delighted to have them as a sponsor. So stop in and say hello and tell them you saw them on RVing in New England.
Yeah. And even if you go up there and don't buy something and somebody is buying and they're taking pictures, you can photobomb it so
Right.
that
And
you're in the
also,
picture and,
yeah, the other thing they can do, John, is they can go in and say, I saw those two guys on RVing in New England, and Zagami was the best looking one of the bunch, and DePietro looked a little bit old, but he
we got
tags along.
credibility. If they say that, they've got credibility issues to start with. So
that wouldn't
from that,
pass.
but let's talk about some of the other things that
Yeah, let's talk about something. Well, what do we got? Let's see who we got up on the screen right away. So we got Dante Evening, Walter Swenson. Great job that Walter could join us. I want to hear about Walter's vacation and what he's up to. Jim Roy,
right on time.
Right
no
on
apology
time.
necessary.
Hey, Jerry Plant, Don Hawes, and Don's still down in Athens, Texas, but I know he's coming back to New England this year. And Maria Galante Moore, glad to have you with us.
So if you're here and haven't signed in yet, folks, we'd love to figure out who you are and where you're from. Now, here's what I had an opportunity to do. I told you we did the NASCAR thing, okay? That was down in Stafford Springs. Now, if you know anything about New England geography, in order to get from Worcester down to Stafford Springs, you go through, and you're going on the interstate highways, you go through Sturbridge. And what happened to be going on last week and in Sturbridge was the world's largest, not one of the largest flea market, at least in the United States. And
really? Is that,
yes,
true?
Brimfield is the largest collection.
Take over the city. Yeah, they take over the whole thing on Route 20.
Well, you know what? They bring in 75,000 people, and there's only 3,000 people that live in the town of Brimfield. So some people love it because they park cars on their front yard. Some people hate it and get out of town. But it's 4 days, 3 times a year, May, July, and September. And I found out the May one is the big one because this is the product that people have been storing in their garages or cellars for the whole, from September to March, 6 months worth of stuff. So you see everything there, Bob, everything.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, and we'll play a segment of this interview in a couple of weeks. There are lots of antique dealers that are RVers. And as one of the people from Maine told me, Glynis Thompson from Cape Porpoise, Maine, she said the reason she loved her RV was 3 things: cook their own food, sleep in their own bed, and utilize their own toilet facilities. Okay. And now the third one, if any of you have been into one of those Johnny on the spots or porta potties, by the third day of a by the 4th day of a 4-day conference, I'm telling you, it's worth the price of an RV just for that. So with that being said, folks, there are tons of those taking place all over the country this summer. Stop in, look around. You'll find tons of fellow RVers because flea markets always have a section of their parking lot that's reserved for RVs. You don't have to buy anything. And sometimes just some of the characters that you see there are worth the price of admission. And sometimes there's no price of admission at all. So
I'm going to jump back and forth on the comments tonight because this is really about our fans. Don Hawes says,
Look at Walter.
Wait, let Walter wait his turn. Don says, flying back to New England on June 21. So Jerry Plant had to cancel this week's trips to Ocean City, Maryland. Rona. I'm not sure what Rona means.
Corona. Somebody's got Corona. Coronavirus.
The virus. Okay.
Yeah, Jerry's on a nickname basis of Corona.
Yeah. He knows him firsthand.
Yeah.
And Maria says, "Oh yuck." That's true. Walter says, "Travel for." Am I right? Yeah. Travel for Memorial Day, according to AAA research, 8.3% increase from 2020, but 8.2% decrease from 2019, and equal to the travel from 2017. Around 34.9 million will travel by automobile. You're very astute, Walter, because that actually, John and I just taped our Camper Report show, and that was the whole basis of our opening for the show. Normally, we mention 4 or 5 stories, but that was the basis of the amount of people that are traveling. Another interesting note that you say about 2019, I sat in on the power breakfast out in Elkhart. I didn't go out. I watched the live stream of it. And the general consensus of the RV industry is that we're not going to be hurt much, quite honestly, as bad as some things sound, because we take the positive approach. And one of the reasons is RVs are, in fact, mainstream right now. They weren't. If you go back to pre-COVID, the people who had RVs knew all about the benefits of them, and their family and friends knew the benefits. But people outside the RV industry did not know that. And with the exposure in COVID, with the increase of the number of units sold and who's buying them, 50% of them are new buyers, then this has created a conversation in every household in America. So tagging on to the mainstream conversation is what's happening in the leisure travel business.
Absolutely.
And when families get together and talk about the weekend or the long 1-week vacation or maybe a month going around the country, they're going to talk about airplanes, and nobody's going to want to go on an airplane. If you've flown lately, I'll tell you, it is the worst experience ever. And I've been flying for 60 years. Absolutely worst experience ever.
Bob, you were on that flight with the Wright brothers, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah.
I turned the propeller for Wilbur.
Yeah.
He really appreciated it.
That's why you talk about being in Kitty Hawk.
Down at Kitty Hawk, right? It was one of the highlights of my life.
Yep.
And then cruise ships. I had a relative actually. My brother-in-law went on a cruise.
This is an amazing stat.
Fort Lauderdale or Miami. He said that there were 7 crew members for every single passenger on the ship. That's how low the attendance was, and the amount of people on the ship. They got incredible service, extra everything. 7 people assigned to them, and they had that. So people aren't going back to the cruise ships. But in that conversation, they are going to talk about RVs. They have to. It's on every TV, every radio. You see it on commercials. I'm sure some of you have seen the Ford F-150 Lightning commercials, driving with an Airstream behind it. I mean, there's pictures with the Cybertruck that isn't even on the market yet, towing travel trailers. So it's mainstream, and it's here to stay, and it's going to continue to grow in this country, despite some slowdown. And saying the best bellwether will be 2019. Well, guess what? 2019 was the third best sales season year in our industry. That's not a bad benchmark. So you are not, dealers are reporting good traffic, still people buying. So let's see how you're going to do and enjoy your Memorial Day.
Well, Bob, you talk about people, and I have gotten so many phone calls from people about renting or buying. And just last Sunday, I was at my granddaughter's soccer game, and one of my daughter's friends came up to me and said, "Hey, we're renting like you told us to do." And, we're going up to Storyland up in New Hampshire. The kids are, 7 and 5, that type of thing. And I said, you're driving it or you're towing it? And they said, oh, they want to be in one. They want to be able to look out the window. They want to look out over my shoulder and drive that. So there's a young couple. They're probably, my daughter's 38. So they're 38, 37. Unheard of 10 years ago. And interestingly, I don't see Ryan Hadley on here yet because I know he's busy. I'm getting phone calls from 2 of Kenny Rogers' brothers saying, we want to buy an RV and we need you to help us. So they both live down in the Orlando area, and I'm helping them. They want an RV, and these are guys that are in their 70s that want it. So you get both ends of the spectrum. And I just did a 500-mile trip yesterday and today down in New Jersey and back, and I saw so many on the road, and it wasn't even a weekend. And I'm trying to figure out.
I saw that's a good point, John. Coming back from Florida, there were a lot of RVs in the parking lots, in the overnight parking, in the rest areas. They are going, and that points to a good point that Maria says here. She says, "Hey, yeah, we're still going on our planned trip," and that's great. And Bernie put the appropriate apology in there. Now, I'm going to give you some slack tonight, Bernie, because I'm guessing you're pretty busy still at Campers Inn in Merrimack. I'll bet you still got a lot of people coming through the door and a lot of people buying, and you've got some great inventory up there. So I would not be surprised if that's the reason that you're sitting there. And our buddy Frank,
we're not going to write him up. We're not going to write him up. Send him a late notice.
Right? No, we're not going to write him up. Not going to find him. Frank says just came back from Level Lake, New Hampshire, mooch docking, and they are still friends after spending a week there. So they still like you. That's why don't you talk a little bit about mooch docking, John, for those that are struggling and maybe having trouble getting a campground?
Well, you know what? It's kind of got a bad name for it. Mooch docking is basically when you park in someone's driveway, generally without hookups. What did Boondockers Welcome? Okay. So Boondockers Welcome is now part of Harvest Toast. And I believe with Boondockers Welcome, you get the first night free. And then subsequent nights, there's a fee for it. But
really?
Yeah, Harvest Hosts are, in my opinion, one of outside of traditional campgrounds, because if you've got a unit that needs a lot of power and you want to run your electricity and you want to run your air conditioner, I guess it's supposed to be toward record heat this weekend. I understand. At least in New England. Zagami brought all that Florida weather back with him.
At least I get
I mean, you can still run your air conditioner on a generator, but it's a pretty loud thing. Look at Harvest Host, and you pay one set fee, and you got your choice. I think they're up to 3,000 places you can go to right now.
3,000 Harvest Host and 3,000 on Boondockers Welcome.
Yeah.
Mr. Hawes has an astute comment here. He says, he, meaning me,
toasted the right
with the Jack Daniels. Actually, you're correct, Don, because the Wright
That's why the flight only lasted 31 seconds.
Well, the first flight for the Wright brothers was 1903. Jack Daniels got one of the first whiskey distillery patents in the country in 1866. So I just don't enjoy this beverage. I'm a student of Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Just
an astute student.
An astute student of Jack Daniels.
Yes, exactly. He toasted the Wrights with a Jack Daniels. That's
Jim Roy says almost every vehicle manufacturer's commercials features an Airstream. Every one. Yeah, there are a lot on there. Yeah, there are a lot.
I don't know if anybody else saw it. It was too late for me to put anything on the website or on the Facebook page, but last Sunday night, there was one of those Hallmark movies on TV.
You're watching Hallmark movies to people?
No, my wife watched.
You eat Chef Boyardee out of a can, and you watch Hallmark movies.
Oh, my wife told me about it. Otherwise, I would have never done it. They all start the same. There are people that are stressed out, and they go away. They meet somebody, and then they leave, and don't fall in love. But anyway, this couple was going on an RV vacation. A husband and wife was going on an RV vacation, and then the husband got called away. And then the husband got called away for business, but they already had the RV rented. So the wife had a friend from college that was in the neighborhood on vacation. And she said, look, why don't you come on the trip with us? So they show them, us two go. So they show them driving down the highway, from the front. And of course, they're always driving with the slide out. They show the whole thing and all the other pictures. And, there's all the stuff about not knowing. They didn't know they had to plug in for the fridge to work. And it was just crazy. But again, it was complimentary to RVing if you knew nothing about RVing from that end of it. The other cool thing that you can do RVing, and you know what? We should have titled this show 5 Cool Things You Can Do While RVing on your way to your destination. And again, I lived this twice today. And I should have sent you the pictures, but again, everybody knows that when we hit that button at 7 o'clock, we have no idea what the hell we're going to do. And at 8 o'clock, it generally shows that we have no idea what the hell we're going to do. But at 10 o'clock this morning, I was in New Jersey, and the people I were with took me to a New Jersey diner and breakfast. The plate comes and it's overflowing with food. Okay. And viewers that you're watching right now, if you have any favorite types of restaurants that you want to go to. Now, I will tell you this, Waffle House and Cracker Barrel do not qualify as restaurants.
They're not, right.
They qualify as parking spaces.
Neither does Olive Garden.
But I mean, this and Olive Garden, I know it. If you want to get an Italian mad at you, tell them you love the Italian food at Olive Garden. But what I'm saying,
to get an Italian mad at you, tell them you eat Chef Boyardee out of chicken.
That's true.
Hey, let me jump. You at the end of that comment?
No. I got more food to talk later.
All right. Walter says they visited a lot today because we want to talk about everything tonight. We want to keep you guys going forward here. I don't know what happened to DePietro, but Walter visited a dealer today. And it seemed very slow, but it is Wednesday and it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's true. Don Haas says, was Bob there when Jack got his patent? No, but I was there when he stumped, how Jack Daniels died. He tried to open his safe one day and he couldn't open it. And he kicked the safe and he got a toe infection and he died from the toe infection. So I did attend Jack's funeral, but it was sad to see him go that way. That's for sure. Maria says, hey, don't knock the Hallmark movies. They are my ways to de-stress after a week of crazy news. Well, you and my wife and John's wife and probably 99% of the women in the country. Now, I don't mean to be sexist, but I don't know any guys that rush home to see the Hallmark Channel. I'm just saying. And Bernie says, instead of an astute student, you must have caught on to one of those back conversations. Wonder how many of you saw Brad Moore on TV this weekend. Brad's very fortunate in that his dealership, Bradford RV, is in Brockton, Mass. And it is very close off 128 from the major news outlets. So as Walter points out, Brad was interviewed today on WBZ. Topic was fuel cost and RV boat travel. His view was people will just take slightly shorter trips. He has also, in the past couple of days, been on Channel 5, and I think he's been on Channel 25. So he's got a great location when these TV stations want to see what's going on. And I actually did an interview with the Sun, what do they call it? Sun Journal or Sun Chronicle up in Lewiston, Bangor, Maine. They're doing a story on RVs this weekend. And I had the pleasure of telling the reporter the 2 of the items that he were covering. He said, I'm almost done with the story. I said, well, tell me about the story and what you got going. And he tells me, and I said, well, by the way, that's not true, and that's not true. And then we talked for about an hour, and I enlightened him on the real world of RVs and what's going on today. But any exposure is good exposure, as any PR person.
That's what Michael Jackson said.
That's good. Jim Convoy, evening all late. Sorry. You know why Jim is late? These guys are killing it down in Plainville at New England RV Roof. The stuff that they are doing, they had a beautiful Renegade Toter. I don't know if you know that term, but that's a medium duty truck that many people use for pulling their large and heavy fifth wheels. And he did a roof on one of those. It was a beautiful looking coach. And when you look at those trucks, they're built on freight liners and international trucks. I mean, commercial truck drivers drive them for 1 million, 2 million miles. Why would you ever trade it in? If you got a roof problem, go see Jim and Kurt and replace the roof. It's one of the best investments that you can make. And he's having a field day down there in terms of, and the other reason for that is there's not a lot of inventory. It's getting better. I can tell you this: most of our dealers in NERVDA are saying that the inventory is coming back. The deliveries are coming steady. They've got great inventory. And as I told the writer up in Maine, what you're going to see happen starting this weekend, you're going to start to see prices drop because they have inventory now. Now we're going back to the pre-COVID days, and there's inventory on the lots, and there are dealers advertising some pretty significant discounts. So while you're out there this weekend, if you're close to an RV dealer, especially an urban dealer, go out and see the inventory that's piling up.
Yep, exactly right. Walter Swenson says, fuel prices keep going up. We will all be towing Hitch Hotel. I don't know what he means by that, but you know what, Bob? Talk a little about that. I'm going to go look it up, see what it is.
Hitch Hotel. Well, as I was saying earlier, anywhere from 420 to 490 on the way back. But
yeah, that's for gas, not for diesel, buddy. I paid $6.49 today.
I saw a place that was over $7 off the highway coming up the New Jersey. Actually, I think it was when I got into New York. New Jersey prices were about $4.70, but they pump you gas and do all that other good stuff. Jesse Brissett making deals. Hey, I'd be disappointed, Jesse, if you didn't get a sales pitch in there. That's why I love you. You got a lot of inventory. Jesse is with Camping World up in West Hatfield, Mass, and Camping World has a lot of inventory on their lots. So stop out there and see Jesse. I don't know what the Hitch Hotel.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Maybe
the website wasn't open.
Maybe what do you mean? Maybe that's camping in his backyard. Is that possible?
I don't know. It's a company. It didn't open. The website didn't open, so I didn't spend any more time on it.
Hall says people specializing in roofs and or solar are just doing phenomenal. Now you have to understand. I'm going to put a plug. Jim's a great NERVDA dealer, and he does a great job. But we had a conversation last week because I saw some advertisement about something that you rub on your roof and had 10-year guarantee, but it didn't tell the whole story. I won't mention the company, but just if you think you have a leak and you decide you're going to put Eternabond or some roof magic on your coach, that doesn't do the job. That may stop it for a little while, but it doesn't get down into the inherent dangers and deterioration of the roof and the panels on the inside of the coach. I always tell people that by the time you notice that you have a leak in your RV, that's like not going to the dentist. By the time you decide to go to the dentist, the tooth has had significant cavity and damage to it. But you don't go until you say, I can't take it anymore. And that's what happens with RVers. They see the leak and say, well, maybe it's a small leak. And if it leaks for a year or two, it's ruining the roof panels, the support structures. So you can't compare a do-it-yourself rub-on roof repair and expect that you're going to be protecting your investment. When you do Jim's approach, the RV Flex Armor, he gets right down to the skin. Sometimes he takes off every board on the roof, every truss, puts on new trusses, new plywood, and then puts the spray adhesive on. And so you have to do your homework. If you're in that situation, we don't.
I just found Hitch Hotel. Walter says it's a tiny folding camper. It's like an accordion camper, but it's only a bed. Now it looks like, I don't know whether it's a single or a double, but it's so. Walter, I'm sure you'd agree there. It's one of those Kickstarter campaigns there where you throw in the money. It's so unaerodynamic that my guess is that it would be cheaper to drive into a hotel and stay there at night.
Probably would. Walt
And that-
Burns is here tonight. Now, Walt has not been on the last 2 or 3 weeks, and we duly noted that. But he has a very good reason, because Walt is the performance manager for Easy Care that does a lot of work with our NERVDA dealers in providing to them the products that our customers in NERVDA have in F&I, in the maintenance contracts, in the preventive maintenance contracts, in prepaid maintenance contracts. So he's very busy with our dealers. Well, they do an annual trip every year. And I understand that Walt has been out on these trips for about 2 or 3 weeks, because I happened to talk to one of his employees, and who actually had a chance to go on the trip too. And you have to refresh my memory, Walt, as to where it was, but it sounded luxurious. But he agrees with us. RVs are going to continue to do what we call inventory and focus for our dealers right now, but overall still optimistic for 2022. And that's the general consensus. We're not digging our heads in the sand. We're going to have as much fun in 2022 as we did in 21 and 20. Jesse says, still making deals, but would like to do a lot more. Well, now, Jesse, what salesman do you know that would not like to sell more tomorrow than they sold today? Because if they don't want to do that, I'm sure you fire them, because I know I would. So.
There are some lazy ones out there that just want to get by.
Oh, Maria says she paid $5.19 for gas today. So we're up over the $5.19 barrier. Prices on Class A's are still high. Yeah, because, and the reason for that, Dante, is that Class A inventory is down. When they hit into COVID, they weren't sure how the big units were going to go. The Gas A class is better. Class A diesels are a little bit down, but that's a unique niche on a Class A diesel. So there will always be customers for them. Swenson says it is tiny, full. Oh, tiny. He answered the same thing. Bernie says, great point, Bob. There may be several underlying issues in the roof end of it.
Yep.
Jim Roy, the stuff we see has been leaking for 20 years. Yeah, and that's true. Jim Roy with Silver Moose Restorations. When he gets them in there, he doesn't like to take anything past 1975. So he's I don't know, that Shasta one that you did this week, Jim, with the paint job, that didn't have as much extensive damage, but a good redo on that. What year was that? Starcraft, Shasta rather, on that one. Jesse says everyone should invest in those forever roofs. I have a 2006 Grand Junction 5th that is like new and will be retailing. Walter says diesel went down in the last week in Greenfield, Mass. About a week ago, it was $6.49. Today, it was at $5.89. Walter is out at Greenfield, Mass, because this weekend, and we'll be posting something on it tomorrow. We've been posting on it, but he is just
not this weekend.
Walter and Donna were the state directors for the Mass Good Sam.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, that's why he's out there now. Oh, not.
Well, he's setting up.
He's setting up, getting stuff ready. Yeah,
right.
It's Memorial Day, Memorial Day weekend, and he's had. He told me the other night that they were expecting maybe 20 people, given the market, given everybody's busy and Memorial Day weekend, and they're up to. Correct me if I'm wrong, Walter, but I think you said you're up to 75 coaches, 150 plus people, and that's a phenomenal turnout for that.
Yeah, Walter was on personal business there. Was not Good Sam, but anyway, Astro.
All right,
Walter. Bernie wants to know what I was doing. Bernie, you can't really see it here, but I have a. Can you see that? It's a stabilizer for my camera, and I was just toying with it. And that's what I was doing. If I look disinterested, I apologize. I was listening to you.
Time for your radio voice. We're 4 minutes late.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This show is brought to you by Seacoast RVs on Route 1 in Saco, Maine. They have elevation units. They have crop units. They have Winnebago units. They have a camp store. They have a service department. They have propane. They have everything you need to keep your RV in perfect shape. And when you're heading for Old Orchard Beach, when you're heading to the Maine coast, again, they're only a mile off I-95. Take the 195 exit, get off on Route 1.
Exit
And
36.
Yep.
Exit 36.
Yeah, they keep changing the numbers up there.
Yep.
But while you're by in that area, stop by Zagami's because he always has some Jack Daniels ready, and
That's
always
true.
has, lobster rolls and that type of thing. Just give him a couple hours notice, and
we
you'll
treat
run
people
over.
right when
Right.
they come visit. You're right.
Exactly. So
And if you're there, you may in fact buy a unit from Seacoast RVs and become one of
it's
their
like you did, right, Bob?
another happy campers. My park model came from my last 3 park models
Yeah.
came from
And it
Seacoast
looks like the
RVs.
one in the middle there.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's a crop model. Yep. And
It's not on a trailer anymore.
nope. So
But-
that's it. So we appreciate them, and in fact, I'm going to stop down tomorrow and have a cup of coffee with them and see what's new on there.
And I will tell you this, folks. If the price of gasoline is freaking you out, but you still like the RVing lifestyle, a park model is your perfect solution, because the pricing of them, if you compare it to a stick-built house on Cape Cod or up on the Maine seacoast, it's absolutely ridiculous, the value that a park model is. And you know what? We bought our house on the Cape in 1990. We paid $100,000 for it. Now that house down the street, same house as ours, just sold for $700,000. So not everybody has that amount of disposable income around to spend between $400,000 and $700,000 on a second home. But you do get a second home. And like in Bob's case, what he did was he added a screen room plus a deck. One of those decks made out of Trek wood, so it's maintenance free. Bob, how many square feet do you have there? Not necessarily covered, but between the deck, the sunroom, and the unit, what do you have for square feet?
400 square feet on the unit, because that's
Inside,
the per park model. We have a 400 square foot sunroom that runs the length of the unit, and out in the sunroom, I'm speaking to you from the sunroom tonight. I have an office. May has an office. We have a kind of kitchen cabinet like storage, and then we have a separate bedroom that we built out here. So we have a totally separate and private bedroom, so we can sleep people in the master bedroom. We can sleep people in the sunroom and on the sleep sofas in the living room. So very accommodating.
So, folks, not only do you get the lobster roll and a couple of shots of Jack Daniels, you can stay over for absolutely no cost. Just stay overnight. That you saw it on RVing in New England. You heard about this special offer. This special offer is not available in stores. It's not available in direct mail. It's only available right here, right now. The first 20 couples that sign up tonight, we've got 20 weeks before they have to go back to Florida. Bob, you can have an RVing family with you every weekend.
Could have a big lobster fest and a couple of steaks on the grill. Yeah.
And I know if your wife is listening right now, when she sees me.
I was right. I was wrong. Memorial Day weekend for the rally, and go to massgoodsam.com. I assume by posting that, Walter, you still have room for more campers. And this is a great camping community. Great friendships will be developed there.
Just the nicest people. We'll probably head out for one night next week.
Yeah. Okay. He's on personal business. No rally is next weekend. Bernie says, John, what are you doing? Okay. I thought I saw another post from Walt Burns. Maybe not on that.
The sunroom bedroom for when Bob has too much. It could be.
Who says that? Who says that?
Don Hawes down below. Last one at 741. It's a sunroom bedroom for when Bob has too much.
Bob never has too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bill
Maria says,
Sell joining us tonight. Evening, folks. Quite
hi,
quite
Bill Sell.
radical. Well, that's good because I know that means you're busy. Finally out of the car and at my Facebook. Always great conversation here. Thank you, Bill. Glad to have you with us tonight.
Always nice to talk to Bill Sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good friend of Nervder and RVing in New England, that's for sure. And what does it say?
No squire has too much.
We see
No squire has too much, John. That's Convoy.
Huh?
That's Convoy. Can you see it?
No, why am I not seeing it yet?
Down below.
The last one I got is done. This is the last one I got.
Oh, right, you're in Maine.
It's a sunroom, bedroom.
Yeah, right under that. There's another one.
That's that one that you said. But that's the last one.
Well, you're in Maine. It's a little slow up there.
Must be.
Forget it. Convoy says no squire has too much, John.
That's correct. Jim Convoy, I found recently, is also a Tennessee squire, a very select group.
So we're at that Connecticut RV show.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, another example, ladies and gentlemen, of me working during the winter while Zagami is playing in Florida. And I'm talking to Jim Convoy, and somehow the Jack Daniels name comes up, and he says, I'm a squire. Okay? Don't think much of it. I text Zagami that Convoy is a squire, and then a guy walks by, a young kid, 30 years old, 25 years old, with a Jack Daniels T-shirt on. And I said, hey, what'd you get that for? And he reaches in his wallet. I thought he was reaching for a gun. Reaches in his wallet and says, I'm a squire. So there's three. I don't know what you need to do to be a squire. Maybe you just have to pay a fee and then you can.
No.
You have to take a test?
It is very selective. The only way you can be a Tennessee squire
is to be able to drink a whole fifth at once.
No, is to be nominated by another Tennessee squire. You cannot buy your way in. You cannot cry your way in. You have to be, and we only recommend other squires that appreciate the quality of the whiskey and never, ever abuse alcohol. And it's called a sipping whiskey because we sip it slowly and enjoy the great taste.
You know why you sip it slowly? Because it tastes so putrid that if you drank more of it, you'd spit it out.
Well, no, it's an acquired taste. It takes a long time. In fact, last week prior to the show, May was bringing me my Jack Daniels, and she decided to taste it. She'd never tasted it. We've been married 54 years. She has never tasted Jack Daniels, and she decided to taste it, and she almost spit it out and said,
"I'm gonna say spit it out." It's like rocket fuel.
This stuff is terrible. How the hell can you drink this stuff?
That's what I've said to you. How the hell can you drink it? So Walter Swenson. Walter's the only one. You know, we're talking about Greek diners in New Jersey and New York. You're talking about alcohol, and Walter's the only one who's on business. Can you read Walter's?
Let me see. I don't think. This one. That one. This one. Interesting interview.
Yeah.
With Horizon of Indiana. Single axle RVs are the hardest to transport, as they tend to transport 2 to 4 on a transport trailer instead of towing them individually, and is creating a big backlog in those single axle RVs. Well, that's kind of a misnomer, Walter, because almost all RVs that come out of Elkhart are one RV, one tow vehicle. They hire the transport companies and they bring the thing. The ability to put 3 or 4 small RVs, single axle RVs, actually improves a dealer's inventory. So it's been a long day for me. Tell me what I'm missing in your comment, because that actually, if you can put 4 units on a lot, ask Tim, and Tim's not on tonight, from Tim's RV. When he gets his trailer load of Intech trailers, he's got 4 or 5 trailers on that one rig. And for the transport guys, that's fantastic. And I'm sure they buy the flatbed and have it configured to take as many as you can. But once you get up over 20 feet, you don't do it. The other benefit,
Walter says they don't have many drivers with those trailers. Keep in mind, Bob.
Well, that's true.
Keep in mind that those drivers that haul that stuff out are all independent contractors.
Yep.
So it's not Thor or Forest River or Jayco that own those tow vehicles. It's individual people who even prior to this gas baloney, had extra gas tanks put in so they didn't have to stop as much because they're getting less, than 6 miles a gallon.
But keep this in mind too. One of the benefits of having 3 or 4 of them come out at one time, there's no question that the RVs and this is one of the issues that we have with the consumers that say, well, the molding was falling off or the door didn't close properly. Because one-on-one, it's a truck driver and whatever's behind them, and he's going to hightail it from Elkhart to Boston or New England as fast as he can. So that one's bumping all around. When you put 3 or 4 in a flatbed truck, guess what doesn't happen? It doesn't go into every pothole on the Pennsylvania Turnpike or the New York Thruway.
And also keep in mind that if these guys are paying tolls, and some companies pay your tolls, some don't. These guys will head through Pennsylvania instead of New York because that toll from west of Buffalo to Albany can get very, very expensive. So they go a little bit out of their way. They come across 84 and, up that way, up to 84 too. In fact, I saw a couple today coming up 84 into New England. But those Pennsylvania road, the only reason I say that is those Pennsylvania roads
we have a potential. I don't want to interrupt the good discussion about RVs, but since we're on alcohol tonight, Jim Roy says he's never heard of the Tennessee Squire and have been drinking Jack for years. That's because you will never see it advertised. They never talk about it. It is strictly a private club of those of us who appreciate Jack Daniels. So I'll tell you what, Jim Roy, now that I know you as a human being and a good person and somebody who enjoys Jack Daniels, I am going to recommend you to be a Tennessee Squire. I'll have to send you the questions that I have to submit for the nomination. But I will do that for you. And then
first question is, how many bottles can you drink in an hour?
Got nothing to do with what you buy or how much you drink.
Yeah. But Jim Conboy has already said he would recommend and sponsor you. See, you can't steal from your customers.
Who said that?
Jim Conboy said that right below Jim Roy.
No, but read Jim's comment very carefully. Look it up, Jim, and you can find some stuff on the internet. Maybe I'll sponsor you. I said, Jim, I will be happy to sponsor you. It's the decisiveness of the decision and the ability to make a very rapid decision for somebody else's benefit.
Wait. That's like an astute student. The decisiveness of the decision.
Right. Well, I'm practicing to be Kamala Harris.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's obvious that Mr. Zagami has car lag, from being on I-95 for way too long. So for the next 9 minutes, I'm totally taking over this show, and I will talk sensibly and securely.
Well, I don't know about the sensibility of it.
Okay. So
Walter says that they don't have enough drivers. That's true. God, I thought. All right, say something intelligent to Petro because I want to try to find the other comment from Walt Burns.
Okay, so here's what we need to do, folks. Let's get back to food. Nobody likes Jack Daniels anyway. Okay, let's go back to your favorite. We'll make it easy. Maine to Florida, I-95 or 301 or any of those variations. Give me your favorite place to stop for a good meal. And by the way, Tommy,
while they're thinking about that, I did stop outside Jacksonville at a Buc-ee's based on DePietro's recommendation.
And
Royal Farms Chicken didn't work out in my travel schedule. I couldn't get there around lunch, so I'll do them on the way back. But John is 100% right. If you have not been to a Buc-ee's, you have to go. And they're building a new one right on the North Carolina border.
Yeah, Florence, South Carolina. Yeah.
And it was It's absolutely huge. I mean, it had to be 3 times the size of the one that we stopped at south of Jacksonville. And they must have had at least 200 or 300 gas pumps. And it's right off the highway. And it'll give
One in
south of the
Jacksonville
border.
has 100
It's like the next exit up from south of the border,
Yeah.
which I refused to stop at. But you're right.
Oh, you didn't refuse to south of the border. Okay, Walter says, a Tennessee Squire is a member of the Tennessee Squire Association, which was formed in 1956 to honor, to honor
Special friends of the Jack Daniels Distillery. Many prominent.
What do you need to do to be a friend of a distillery? Just drink.
Note his next line. Many prominent business and entertainment professionals are included among the membership, which is obtained only through recommendation of a current member. And that current member, by its very words, is a prominent business and entertainment professional. And I qualify on both of those. So there. And Convoy says, a Squire recommends another based on their reputation. I was recommended by a friend who I did not know was a Squire, and she recommended me when she learned I was also a Shriner, and what I believe is an important charity to the hospitals for children. So see,
hold on.
So in other words, DePietro, we're important.
No. So I don't want to be on the day. I don't want to be around the day that Convoy has had several Jack Daniels, and he drives around in that little go-kart up and down the ramp, and beeps his horn at kids. I don't want to be around when
you mean his display of the New England RV roof product, the ones that he has in the display?
No. If he's a Shriner, he knows what I mean by those little tiny.
Okay, right.
With that hat, with the tassel on it.
Right.
I know it's got another word for it, but Convoy, you're really pushing the envelope tonight. But maybe you've had several Jack Daniels, and that's why this is nonsensical.
Maria would like to get back to intelligent conversation based on.
Then just talk to me, Maria. Just talk to me.
Says, usually cook in my RV on the way down instead of stopping at restaurants. So I would hope so. Even if you just stopped and put the barbecue grill outside and put it up on a picnic table and cook yourself a couple of hamburgers and hot dogs. It's a hell of a lot better than DePietro when he stops and opens up a can of Chef Boyardee.
And microwaves it in the can.
Oh God.
Okay, there's just mad at Chef Boyardee doesn't have a special honor club. Oh, that's funny. That Groucho saying comes to mind.
Says that Groucho saying comes to mind.
Which one?
Which one? Which one? Is that the secret word, or something drops out of the sky that says Chef Boyardee on it, or Jack Daniels? I'm trying to figure
out what's going on with my phone, with my cameras here.
Yeah, your cameras are all over the place tonight.
FaceTime.
So Bernie says, Walter, for some reason, drivers do not want to do multi-toes at this time. Is that what you call it when they throw 3 or 4 on the truck, Bernie? Multi-toes? Why wouldn't somebody want to do that? Aren't they paid per unit? I would think that would triple or quadruple the money that they earn on it. I'm not sure. I don't know much about the RV transport company. I do know that Camping World tried it once and was one of the businesses that they exited very quickly. They tried having a fleet of their own drivers. And if you know people, I'll tell you, if you know people who are retired and love to drive, and there are a lot of people that just love to drive, whether it's over the road or delivering something, every RV transport company in this business today is looking for drivers. And I won't tell you who they are, but we have several of our nerve to dealers that contract with their own local people to go out and pick up their units. Number one, they get them faster because you're waiting in line with these transport companies as to when they came on their lot, and they pretty much deliver them in the order that they came in. But a dealer is smart enough to have 3 or 4 or 5 people in this stable that are willing to take a call on short notice and say, hey, go out to XYZ manufacturer and pick up a trailer for me. They will drive out and they will bring it back and they'll have it. And by the way, that driver is probably a lot more attentive to the care and concern of that particular vehicle.
Hey,
because
I did that for the Fullers. I took the train out to Gulfstream, picked up the unit and drove back. And you know what? I drove it like it was my own. And it was pretty cool. The only thing is, like, next time I do it, I have to take the plastic off the seats because you get a little squishy with the plastic in the new vehicles. Then it's got all the stickers on it about why this is a good unit, and et cetera. But it's not a bad deal. You know, it's just, I don't know if it's economically feasible today with what the companies are paying based upon what it costs to do it.
Well, they'll pay whatever it takes to get the people to do the job.
Well, they have to.
That's the beauty of the free enterprise system. I'll
Yep.
tell you what, you don't hear too much conversation about a minimum wage these days, do you? In fact, at Buc-ee's, they had a big sign at each exit listing the pay rates of the employees that they wanted to hire.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing was under $18 an hour, and most of them were 18 to 24. And if you work that overnight shift because they're in 24-hour operation, you got an extra $2 an hour. There's no shortage.
Would you agree
that of people who are willing to work, but minimum wage
everybody was polite and friendly in there too? Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Did you notice they were friendly and polite?
As soon as you walked through the door, they couldn't be kinder. And you were right. If you bought the brisket sandwich, you could have eaten it off the bathroom floor.
Which we don't recommend people do.
No, it'd make a hell of a commercial, but I probably don't recommend that you do it. Yeah.
Did you get the brisket sandwich?
No, I actually got the Club Melt sandwich, which had a lot of ham and turkey and what have you. And they got the fried chicken sandwich, which was very good. Bernie says also there are many new, somewhat less experienced drivers in the industry. Perhaps it takes more experience to tow 3 at once.
Hey,
well, it's a longer trailer,
And with the wind, keeping those.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind that is, I-90, where you're going along the lakeshore for a period of time in upstate New York and in Cleveland, around there.
Yeah. So we have quickly talked ourselves out of time. Man, maybe we should do these open mics for our fans a little bit more often. I know you like to see our guests, but when we have the guests are also great, but it generates a lot of discussion around why we have them on. This type of show, it's open-ended. Say what you want, when you want, and criticize John and I at your leisure, and it works out well.
And let's also be perfectly honest with our audience. I drove 250 miles today in an RV. You drove 60 miles in a car. So
I drove over 100. I drove over 200 from Hartford to Newton to Old Orchard Beach. And the day before, I drove approximately 6 hours. We went from Roanoke, Virginia to
Roanoke or Richmond?
Richmond, I'm sorry. We went from Richmond to Connecticut, just outside of
VW?
Huh?
George Washington?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was really strange. One of the things I was determined to do this trip, I was going to listen to everything the GPS said. I forgot all the horror stories of George Washington and the Parkway, because it proved at 3 points, it saved us at least an hour each time by diverting us away from accidents on 95. And we didn't lose a minute. We didn't lose anything in the travel time. They just took us out and around. And I said, I'm going to do it. And it said, go to George Washington Bridge. And I said, I'm going. All $16 of it, and we got across there. It was a little slow, but it moved the whole way through. And then went up through the Merritt Parkway up to Hartford.
Oh, that way there. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I
we're over.
Yep, we are
Thanks,
over.
everybody. Let's tell everybody that this show is brought to you this week and every week by Seacoast RV, U.S. Route 1 with crop units, with elevation units, and Winnebago motorized units with a great camp store and propane and service as well. So
Everything you
so
want.
much for joining
In
us.
fact, I passed them tonight coming up to the resort, and they had at least 3 and maybe 4 Winnebago Class B vans right out in front, right on the highway. So
Right there.
they are picking up their inventory that they have. So stop by and say hello to Amanda and Kenny, the owners, co-owners, and Brittany, who does a lot of the sales activity, and Kendra, who is a serviceman. You got a question on service or your vehicle, go see Kendra and let her talk to you about what they can do for you on the service side. So we
Great.
will see you next week as our prelude right into the Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for joining, and have safe travels down the road.
Bye, everybody.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.